Hello and welcome to Channel Sports on Sunday. I'm Ken Ochonogo. It's one of those weeks that you have nothing more to do than to get straight to the point. But the point is not the point we ended last week. The point is where we are starting this particular week. It's been that kind of a thing because the controversy never ends. If you like win 10, 20, somebody will tell you it is subjective. But as we say it, as it is right now, 8. Yes, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One finger is finished. You enter the next one. 6, 7, 8. Messi, lion. Is it lion or lion? Some people are not too happy about that. But then Messi is 8th time the Ballon d'Or winner. People say is the GOAT, G-O-A-T, the greatest of all time. Controversy. But let's put this controversy to bed because Nigeria actually voted for Messi. So we endorsed his Ballon d'Or. And then he may not win FIFA the best because FIFA says FIFA the best starts from 19th of December. Remember, he won the World Cup on the 18th of December, 7 days of Christmas. We told you here. So if you remove that, his performances right there in PSG and Inter Miami might not earn him. So for the Erling Haaland fans, calm down. FIFA the best is loading. And I tell you, it's most likely going to be the man who won the treble with Manchester City, Erling Haaland. I remember I've been in the school and this lecturer would just tell you, dy/dx, and then he will tell you integrate to infinity. And I kept wondering, how do you integrate to infinity? Sometimes you have nightmares in these classes, but then you just have to go over there and understand. Because then the guy said integrate towards it to infinity. But FIFA has just endorsed him and said Messi is right there. Messi is infinity. He is forever. And then for now, I don't think anybody can doubt that. No, people will doubt it. I know there is a class of thought. Because maybe for Messi, I don't know what unfortunately, he came at a time where he has to have another person in his era, and that is a Cristiano Ronaldo. So you can't take it away. While Ronaldo was bagging in the goals, people say Messi as the more complete footballer, the man who does magic, while the other guy gets to bang it in from whatever form. So football is about goals, they say, and who is the greatest? Who is the greatest is subjective. Even who is the Ballon d'Or winner is subjective. Some people voted for Haaland, some voted for Mbappe, while others voted for Messi. Even though Sime also had his own votes right there, but Nigeria did not vote for Sime. Nigeria voted for Lionel Messi. England voted for Lionel Messi. Germany voted for Lionel Messi. Argentina voted for Lionel Messi. And I tell you this, even Brazil voted for Lionel Messi. So Spain voted all the past World Cup winners. I think just France. It was France among the World Cup winners that did not vote for Lionel Messi. But the rest said, you are the Ballon d'Or winner. I will take a minute to come back into that. The Paris Open, we're right there in the finals there, and Djokovic is saying, I can do it. But let's see if he can take in the baby fed in Dimitrov. Because I like some players come in and you believe that they were going to get there. You look at them as generation next. And that was what Dimitrov and Milos Raonic were saying, when you remove the Federer, remove Nadal, remove Djokovic, remove Andy Murray, and the Troika plus, that made the quadrant of them all, that probably you are going to have the next people that are coming off. But no. They just fizzled out. And it now took another generation, the Tsitsipas of this world that came after them, Alexander Zverev, and then we're now seeing, whether you like it or not, a new crop of guys that said we are there when it is. So the result of coming to the final, to me wouldn't have been a surprise, but getting there as an unseeded player for a player that was touted to be, they call it the baby Federer, that after this is the Federer, the next Federer, as it was supposed to be. But then his peak didn't get to the zenith. Somewhere it got truncated. But let's see if today he can stop the man who has 24 big ones. Arguably, another GOAT is playing today in Paris, and that GOAT is Novak, the Joker, Djokovic. So we'll talk briefly also on tennis today. We look at the NPFL too. There's a lot of controversies. I spoke with one of the coaches who is a childhood friend of mine. His team left, the south, and then traveled to Abuja. They have to rest at Abuja, sleep overnight, just like taking a transit, and then the next morning they're on their route to, go and travel then to Kano. And then that means you have spent 2 days on the road to play a league match, and after playing the league match, you spend another 2 days on the road to come back. So I don't know, and then you are inside a bus. So I don't know how much time they have to train, to rest. We're not even talking about nutritionists now. We're not talking about physios who wants to touch them and do. So when you see the Haalands or the Mbappes performing at that level, they don't spend 48 hours on the road. That is 96 hours a week right there on the road, just before they train. And then practice and other things. So I think what we are just churning out in the league is looking like a robot. Some of us I don't want to take too much of your time in this intro, but I do believe that there is a need for us to look at that abridged league session that was played last year, played the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, and at the end of the day, you have the two sides coming to lock on in the Super Six, and we pick our winner because there is no fund. We cannot, the clubs are not earning. I make bold to ask if there is any professional football club in Nigeria that earns up to 5% of its expenditure. I want to see that. Let us see their book and see. Of course, anybody did get this windfall that came in from CAF via the African Football League. But then remove that. What else? How much do they earn and how much do they spend per season? So until we get there, until they can take care of this, because there are trying needs in this country, the roads need to be fixed, the hospitals need to be fixed, the schools need to be fixed, and all these things. So spending budgeting money for football is something that I will not say how do that for a professional football club. If you're not for the schools, there is no problem about that. But today is a big before we come to the big talk, because we have somebody in the house, we have something we want to settle. Last week we settled the issue of Nigeria Tales, and then the upcoming player, right there in Ado-Ekiti, in Antonia, Fatiesh. So today we are also looking at something else, but it didn't happen 29 years ago. But before we go that, you will see him, but let me just welcome the Catalan. Yesterday it was close by. Manchester United majestically yesterday, demolished Fulham, but then somewhere right there in Spain, right there in Spain, Catalan, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm sorry. Go back to what you said. You said Manchester United did what? I wanted to ask you for the same game we saw.
It is subjective.
It's subjective.
Yes, what I saw is what I said.
Wow. Yeah. That's impressive. Anyway, the game between Barcelona and Real Sociedad yesterday, it's a game that's always been very difficult for Barca, and up until the 90th minute plus, 91st minute, Barca finally got a goal. VR looked at it and finally awarded it to Ronald Araujo, and that's taking into consideration the fact that Girona had played earlier, demolished the opponents by 4-2 away from home, and currently topping the La Liga table.
Yes,
so anybody that told me at the start of the season that Barca will have to compete with Girona this season, and remember both teams are in the same Catalan capital, I would have said it's a lie. But that's to show you how far they've grown in leaps and bounds, or probably how far Barca have fallen off. But one team that has remained constant so far is Real Madrid, won their Clásico last week, will be taking on at I think Osasuna or so, Rayo Vallecano later today, and have an opportunity to go top of the table again. Interesting times in La Liga so far.
Interesting times in La Liga so far. Of course, we have, you can see somebody in our midst. He needs little or no introduction, but we just have to do that here. He is, you see, I'm an Olympic gold medalist. I don't have to go to the Olympics, to be one. Because when he got his medal, before he got his medal, he was here and I said, look, I am bringing that medal. And we told him, when you bring that medal, Nigerians will see that medal on this show. And he did that, Ekweme, he did what he said. So he brought the medal, and I put that medal here on this show, gold medal. Some of you have not even seen Olympic gold, talk less of touching it or putting it on. I put it on. So if I call myself Ken Ochonog, Olympic gold medalist, if you doubt me, we'll go to court. But then, where we have in there multiple Olympic medalists, one of them being a gold, we understand, you get right there, the farther parts of the world, he went there to go and win that gold in Australia, and then also when in Greece, when they now did that centenary, the centenary didn't come in because that would have come in '96, but they gave it to Atlanta. They begged for it, or it was 2004, that they got it, and they said so back to back he got those medals. And we've always been celebrating him. He was in Jamaica to look at how things were happening in Jamaica. He was right there in Switzerland where he did his masters with the Olympic Committee. The one man who keeps taking, how do I say it? He's getting himself all the developments he can on and off the pitch. He has his own I catch them young show that he does, trying to get kids to bring in the next NPFL. I call it any NPFL Udo Obang. And the name is long. Anyway, but it's Obang. It's not there. So he's a friend there. But then he's not afraid of controversies. He's not afraid of chasing the truth. He tells you this is where I want to go and this I want to do it. Sometimes I question how he does those things. I have the right to do that. And I don't like the club he supports. That is a fact about that one. We don't like ourselves in that particular area, but then we just find a way to cohabit. The space is wide enough so we can still stay there. That's why there is a small space between two of us here, and that is why it is. So I have the pleasure of bringing in NPFL Udo Obong. Like I said, Olympic, one of those Nigerians who won the Olympic gold medal for Nigeria. Of course, he ran the quarter miles, and then okay. Annie, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Ken, for that elaborate introduction. I'm glad to be here in the show, and I'm happy that you are learning how to support very successful teams.
He gives it back to you, just like that. But today we are going to fight on this. We are going to do it. Sometime right there. I want to Annie will still tell you why he's here. But then sometime in 1994, that has to be some 29 years ago. Specifically, we're in November, but that would happen in October. That is October 9th, 1994. That is when the event happened. I was in Lagos. Some of you were not. Some of you are just hearing the story for the first time because some of you were not yet born, when this thing happened. And some of you, of course, some of those of you outside Lagos also followed the story. I was in Lagos, but then that you're in Lagos, don't mean that you're right at the national stadium where it happens. But we read all through, we followed all through the radio, the television, and then the newspapers, what was happening. It has to be with the marathon, the 10th edition of the then Milo Marathon. That was the the apex, the prime marathon race in Nigeria. I think it was the only marathon race then at the numero uno. It was an international marathon race. So it did take place that year. And then with all the fanfare, with all the expectations and everything, at the end of the day, the drama that climaxed, who won is now what this book is all about. Did I talk about, have I introduced this book? No, what a book is all about. I'm not talking about this book. And then this is the book. This is the book. In the long run. In the long run, has to be with a marathon. We've been trying to, when we come on this show, most times we talk about books. Any book on sports, on football, anything, we bring them here because we want to enrich our archives. We want to enrich our knowledge. We are still developing. We need to get them. We need to get this story set so that we can get it then. But then, what this book is all about is about Gideon Haggack. Gideon is from Plateau State. 2 weeks before, that was on the 24th of September, 1994, Gideon was in Accra to run the Accra International Marathon, and he won it. He won that race in 2 minutes, 26 seconds, 2 hours, 26 seconds, and 26 minutes and 10 and 28 seconds. So he won it there in 2 hours, and also on night, he was now invited, to come to Lagos to come and run the Milo International Marathon right there in Lagos. And then he breasted the tape at 2 minutes 28. That one he ran in 2 minutes 26. 2 minutes 28 and 10 seconds, which means some 28, 20, about 2 minutes 10, 28, 10, 18 seconds difference between the time he used in winning in Accra to when he came here. But then that is when the whole story started. It is not my story. So we want to take a minute or two for NPFL to say why, after 29 years, he went to say in search of the truth. Any, the ball is in your court.
Okay, thank you very much, Ken. And like you've said very well, it's in the long run, it's a story not about me. It's a story of injustice. It's a story of failed dreams. It's a story of
injustice or alleged injustice.
Well, it's injustice, not alleged, and okay. I'll talk about that because there's a lot of injustice in the PUI. It's a story about a young runner who was about 22 years old then, Gideon Haggack. He won an international Lagos marathon, and after winning, he was locked up in prison for 3 days, and then he was denied everything that came with the benefits of winning. And when I heard this, I was wondering why that happened. And they said because he was alleged to have cheated to have won. And the only evidence at that time that he cheated was that they couldn't believe that he could beat a Kenyan. There was one Kenyan in the race. And they couldn't believe he could beat a Kenyan. And so when I heard that story, I didn't believe that could happen in my country. Of course, this was in 1994. It was the pre-internet time. And it was during the military era. Yeah. So getting information and getting all the documentation were very difficult. So at that point in time, I decided that, well, I will do whatever. Is Gideon still alive? They said he's still alive. Then I'll do whatever it takes to find out the true story. So in the long run, it took me 5 years to write. It took me through 5 states in the nation. And it took me through interviewing about 37 people that were alive during that period. And at that point in time, I went through all those. And after going through all that, I was able to get the stories. Some people told their story. A lot of people that were there can remember what happened. And unfortunately, a few of them have died within the time I interviewed them and the time I published the book. But then, in the long run, it's just my presentation of what really happened at that time. And as an athlete, they might see that I was a little bit biased towards the runner, but that I'm taking, as an athlete, I'm feeling his pain. And I can put it that a man running after 2 hours of running a marathon was put in prison without eating for 4 days and was denied his prize money. And even after the prize money was given to him after 6 months of investigation, his lawyer denied him the prize money for 29 years. And that's the story of In the Long Run.
Okay, we'll try, right? We'll try and get into this because when I spoke with Eni about, when I came across this book, that was some 2 weeks back actually, some 2 weeks ago, and I said, Eni, I will bring this story right there on channels. You're always a part of us here on Channels Television, so we are going to look at this book. Some of the personalities that were part of the history on that day, I had the privilege of speaking with in the past 3-4 days. I've been on call. I speak with them. I spoke with Elder Rotimi Obajimi. I was the technical director of the AFN then, and also the technical director of the marathon. And then he has, his own side of the story to tell me. He couldn't come on air. He's not in the country now. But he said, if you want anything, I will tell you. This is why he arrived at his position, or whatever decision that we're taking. I spoke with Amike Adio. Amike Adio then was the NTA reporter and also a member of the technical team for the marathon, who covered that particular race. So we want to go on a short break because it's all about in the long run. When we come back, I hope we can get some of the personnel, some of those who are involved live, so that we can speak with them on this show. Stay with us, go nowhere. All right, you're welcome back. It's Channel Sport on Sunday, and we're still talking about the Great Race Fiasco. That is the subtitle of the book. While we are still trying to get, because we'll try to see if we can get the main protagonist here, the man who NFL said allegedly won the race. He says he won the race, but the EFN said you did not win the race, you cheated. And then now that is the story. The story that he breasted, Iran, side by side, stride by stride, with Benjamin Mariuki. Benjamin Mariuki was the Kenyan that was brought in, to be part of the race. And then in the last part of the last segment, last 2 kilometers of the race, Rotimi Obajimi, I spoke with him because he said he was in the car. There is the car that monitors between the lead runner and the chasing pack, that he was going to and fro. Okay, he was going to and fro and trying to get them. So, but before they got to the stadium, he left. The car took him. He left them that was monitoring the race, so that he could reach out to the announcers and other people. Because, of course, after taking the first person as their breast tape, other people were taking the time and putting them in order which they were arriving right there. So at that point in time, he missed. But before he left, according to him, Benjamin Mariuku was about 2 minutes. There is about 2 minutes gap between Benjamin Mariuku and the chasing pack, which Gideon was supposed to be. So he found that it is difficult or almost seemingly impossible for Gideon had to have covered that time within 2 minutes, and then a breast tape ahead of the Kenyan. So that was why they looked at it, and then it just looked. So I also spoke with, because there is this video evidence that was supposed to come from the NTA. So I had the privilege of speaking with Amike Adio, former commissioner for sports, also in Kwara, and who also was then as a reporter and also a member of the team, the technical team of the event. And he said in that particular video, he saw Gideon join the race at the stadium. That Gideon joined the race at the stadium. But then the committee did meet when they were trying to review all those things, and then when they asked them to submit that particular tape, the issue then was that it was the tape that they used in the news and not there, which has been edited, that they submitted. So that would have given the whole story of the sequence of events as it happened. We want to see, we are trying to see if we can get, but you are here. You had while we were still waiting for Gideon to join, and also meet some other people who want to join us from in Abuja. This is what Obajimi said. And this is also what Amike Adio said. Yeah. I will also look at here where Fabio Olanibeko talked about this. So let us hear your own.
Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, you spoke to only people that are responsible for the disqualification of the athlete, and of course they will defend their actions.
Yes.
If you had spoken to some very notable people like I think he's an emir now, Elias Gora. Elias Gora was working in the Sports Commission. He's an emir now. He remembers very well what had happened then. And even when I interviewed him, when I went to his Emirates to interview him, he says he remembers very well. And he was a member of the investigative committee. Now, it was sad. This main story that we try to put out is that an athlete ran a race. He won the race. He bested the tape first. Now, if you're going to disqualify him, there are procedures to do so. And then it is not a criminal offense, so you cannot lock him up, or you cannot have him locked up in prison with criminals for 4 days, still with his marathon shirt. He was still sweating. He had not eaten from the stadium to the jail. And he stayed there for 4 days with criminals. See, there are so many levels of injustice. Now, if the federation had felt that he cheated, does not mean that he should be in jail. He was recognized as a hero. And I still have the opening remark of the marathon, where they were praising him before they were using him as a standpoint, as a symbol for the sponsors that he had won in Ghana.
Yeah.
So they praised him. So that was a national hero that was in jail, and the AFL did not deem it fit to go and talk on his behalf. They abandoned him there for 4 days. So a lot of things went wrong. And when we go through the whole story, we now find out that when the Sports Commission decided to come into it, because the Plateau State government wrote a very strong letter protesting his lockup, and the Sports Ministry or the Sports Commission then had to come in. They set up an investigative panel that was headed by Chief B.C. Lawrence.
Yes.
And the whole, with people they brought everybody to, and the panel found at the end of the day that there was no evidence, no cheating, no evidence of cheating. And because of that, they had to compensate him. You see, there's a lot of injustice there. He was locked up. He was denied his money. He was supposed to be giving compensation. But then again, the compensation was fought by a lawyer. The lawyer withheld that compensation for 29 years. As I speak to you today, Gideon has not received that money. I'm just hearing from Gideon last week that the Attorney General of Plateau State had brought him and the lawyer to have a meeting to see how that money can be gotten. Money is in excess of 300,000 in 1994. And that's, if we equivalent either more than $5,000 then, put the dollars down now here. This destabilized Gideon. killed his spirit. He couldn't compete. He was not competitive anymore. People in Pangshin had a history of having champions for Nigeria. And I elaborated that history in my book.
Yeah.
But since then, the youth of Pangshin did not see any future in competing again because Gideon was their hero. And once the hero was treated like a criminal, they saw that athletics was not the point for them. So it's a rippling effect of injustice and a rippling effect of denial that has happened to our country. And all I did as an investigator, as a writer, was to put down everything. I interviewed Obajimi, and all you have said, and in fairness to Mr. Rotimi Obajimi, he's very consistent in what he says, because what he has told you, the same thing he told me. And I have a report on his actual technical reports on the race.
Okay.
And his technical report too does not have any evidence. All evidence does that he didn't believe that the athlete could have won, but he didn't see anything. Nobody saw any cheating.
Okay, but let me look at what this is. What you took from Obajimi's technical report.
Yes, please.
You said right from the start of the race. We're talking about, this is page 57.
Yes.
Benson Mariku from Kenya quickly established a sizable lead over the other runners in the men's race.
Yes.
This lead, which at Maryland was over 2 minutes in duration, he maintained throughout until he was within the grounds of the National Stadium, when he was unexpectedly joined by Gideon Haggack. The two athletes were then engaged in a struggle for supremacy that resulted in Haggack breasting the tape ahead of Mariku. I mean,
that is Obajimi's exact words.
Yes.
Now, you now have, how did someone unexpected, what do you mean by unexpectedly? Did he jump from the sky? Did a bike drop him? Did a bus put him? Or did he run very far that he didn't expect it? So those are questions that I put to Obajimi.
Okay.
But if Obajimi, he said the road marshals and the judges who didn't said this. But you see, all these things, he said that unfortunately when they tried to do the investigation, they tried to use the tape, and like you have said earlier on, the tape was edited.
Yes.
And the tape was edited. Whose fault? Say you couldn't find any evidence against Gideon, but you still put him guilty. You still disqualified him when you didn't have the evidence. I don't know how justice is. Whether it's by you're supposed to be innocent or you're supposed to be guilty.
Exactly what I was going to add.
Okay, I want to see if we can get. I don't know. So, is it possible if we can get Gideon? If we can get Gideon, we're trying to reach Gideon, the man who at 22 years of age, he just started running marathon 3 years earlier, and he has established himself as one of the major forces of a marathon race in Nigeria. Here, in 1993, he came third in the same race that was run, and then 2 weeks before that was on September the 24th in 1984 in Accra, Ghana. He ran that race and won the race, the Ghana marathon race, before coming to Nigeria to come and run in Lagos at Solere here, where all these controversies are in Ghana. He won the race, and then while he was waiting, after a few minutes after waiting the race, the ADC told the governor, the then governor, the Millard, military admiral of Lagos, came to him and said, and himself and his coach, and said, invited them. So they thought, of course, that they want to go and meet the governor, and he thought they were going there to go and celebrate him or present, something for him as the winner. But then that was straight. They took him from the National Stadium and they took him to Alausa, where they waited for the governor for about 3-4 hours or so, before the governor came. And when they came in, it was instead of praise, it was chastisement, it was accusation, it was straight to the guard room, and then and to be arraigned, as a cheat. I wish we could, because I want us to hear this story directly from Gideon. We've been trying to reach him. He's right there in Pangshin. Those of you in Plateau are close to where Pangshin is. I don't know. I've been to Jos before. Guy, that place was so cold. And so when next time, I think I'll wear my winter jacket. So, and I'm going to Pangshin. So he is there in Pangshin. Any went and spoke with him. Any met him and discussed with him. So we are trying to reach him. I know probably it's just the communication gadget. But let's say if we can get somebody in Abuja who was part of the technical team who is willing to speak with us briefly on it, if we can get him, I think we can also go to Abuja. But while we are doing that, I went straight to the end of the book, and then where you were talking about, his compensation 29 years after. Of course, the lawyer did admit you went to see the lawyer, all your efforts trying to reach him in Lagos, in Enugu, every other place, until you got to that east in Abuja, and you flew down to Abuja to go and see him. Quite commendable when you are doing that. And then you asked him, and the man said, "Are you with the money?" Yeah. He admitted that the money is with him. 100,000 for winning the race. Another 270,000 for the inconveniences, compensation for him. But then 29 years after, you didn't tell us if Gideon has gotten the money.
Well, as I speak to you today, I can tell you that Gideon has not gotten the money. The money was not given to Gideon. And I asked the lawyer, why did you receive the money? Because I didn't get any confirmation. The lawyer confirmed that he received the money. I have letters from the sports commission that he was paid money. And the lawyer said, and I asked, why didn't you give Gideon the money? And he says that he had not seen Gideon. And at the time I spoke to him, he had not seen Gideon. And he went to Plateau to give Gideon the money. And then the civil servants in Plateau wanted to share the money within themselves, and because of that he didn't give the money. I don't know if it's a valid excuse, but I felt that for 29 years there must have been a way you can give out the money back to Gideon. He's still a practicing lawyer, so I didn't want to. He knows the legal implications of doing that, getting compensation for a client and not giving the client. But all these things I gave it to the Ministry of Sport. I spoke to the minister, the former Minister of Sport, and the minister says since the money came from the ministry, that he's expecting the ministry lawyers to go and meet the lawyer and find out why it shouldn't, because it was the ministry's money. The ministry set up an interministerial panel to find out what really happened about the race. And after the investigations and talking to a lot of people, and the panel was headed by, I think the then Brigadier General Fred Chijuka, I think he was. Yeah. And when the whole stories came out, he was so surprised that Gideon was treated in such a way. And they found no evidence against Gideon. They found no evidence at all that he had cheated. And they declared him that he actually was a winner, and all this compensation came out because of what he had been through, the court cases, being in prison, everything. I think the lawyer put up a kind of claim, and he was given that.
Okay, while we are still trying to see if we can, get our guests to join us, I want to ask you this. Gideon, after that race, because I wanted to ask Gideon this.
Okay.
It looks like that was the end of his. Did he ever run any other race after that?
Well, yes. After that race, he more or less killed his career. He tried to come back almost 6 years later, because he was given a ban, and he tried to come back, but the whole motivation was not the same.
The AFN did the AFN or the AFN banned him?
Yes, the AFN banned him.
But you didn't cover it.
The AFN.
Okay, let me chip in here, because at the point in the book I read where the AFN, I think then president,
so they were going to ban him.
That irregardless of whatever the court says,
whatever the court
it's not binding on them.
Not binding, exactly.
So they went on to still ban him.
Went on, yes.
How many years was he banned for?
He was suspended. He was banned. It was not given a duration.
Okay.
Because all these issues came up, and before they could make anything public, everything, somehow the ministry had worked, and that board of the AFN was removed.
Oh. Okay.
So within 4 months of this controversy, it got so bad because I think there was a problem between the ministry and the AFN. While the sports commission said go back and he won, the AFN refused to put it on paper that he won, citing IAAF rule that they are in charge. So along the way, of course, the board was removed. So Gideon was allowed to compete, but before he could come back to compete, the only time we had record of him competing again was about 6 years later, which he was much older and he didn't do so well again. So we had seen that he was still tried. That was his life. He's a coach now in Pangshi, in the local government. His life was all about running.
Okay.
So that was all he did, and he says that he never got himself back. He had a kind of sickness which affected his hearing and all these things. So it's a whole psychological thing that went through in the book.
Okay, I wish I was able to. I couldn't speak with Abbas, but let me see on page 58 here. You were talking about the people that they interviewed. Okay. He said, however, Obajimi's position seemed to have been contradicted by some witnesses, a certain Mr. Bulus, who rode in the sponsor's van.
Yes.
Okay. So according to him, he confirmed that Haggack had indeed run the whole race. He confirmed that it was at about a kilometer to the end of the race, specifically at Ojuelegba, that the Nigerians started gaining on the Kenyan race leader. Some of the other runners in the chasing pack confirmed seeing Haggack ahead of them. Waziri and Aru were two of those. But Abbas Mohammed, a former national marathon champion and a beneficiary of the second position after Haggack's disqualification, refused to accept that he had been defeated by the 22-year-old Haggack. He agreed with the official that it seemed obvious Haggack had cheated. Abbas claimed not to have seen Haggack after Maryland, but another runner in the chasing pack, simply referred to as YY, disagreed with Abbas. He said Haggack, with his distinctive big singlet with one sleeve hanging below his shoulder, ran ahead of them and kept opening a lead towards the end of the race. So none of them saw Haggack, catch up with Benjamin Mariuki. None of the runners.
You cannot see somebody catch up when you're behind the person. They have confirmed that Haggack was ahead of them. See, everybody confirmed that Haggack was ahead of them.
But Abbas
did not. And I am not discrediting Abbas. He probably didn't. He's running a marathon. He's focused on himself. He is a very respectable runner.
Abbas was the name.
Yes, was the big name.
Was the biggest marathoner in Nigeria.
Yes, so the very respected. Yes. Also, he was in the military, so he knows the essence of doing. So, but you will find out that the marathon before, when Gideon was third the year before, Abbas was the winner, and then subsequently in distance races, this was a younger person now taking your crown.
Okay.
I don't think, in my own opinion, that Abbas would have been very happy to say, oh, Gideon beats him. So his testimony was there, and I put it down there. I put it that he didn't agree. The others agreed that Gideon was in front of them. And I'm sure the panel, seeing that only one witness was collaborating out of all they have interviewed, and took a decision based on that.
All right. Okay. I'm being told that we have a Henry Amike, but we are going to get his audio. We're going to speak with him because you on page 59 here. Hello, Henry. Henry, are you there? Hello, Henry. Can we get Henry on? Before we trying to get Henry on, because on page 59, open to page 59 there.
Yes.
Page 59. You said Henry Amike, a member of the welfare committee of the marathon and a former national champion in the 400 meters hurdles, disagree with Olusule.
Yes.
He claimed that for the organizing committee to disqualify the athlete, they must have had irrefutable proof of his cheating. You understand?
Yes.
But you are saying, however, he had no knowledge of the evidence used to judge the athlete. I spoke with Henry. Henry said he saw the tape.
Oh yes, I would like to hear, because
I want to see. Yes,
we would like to hear, because why I will be very interested in hearing Henry, because before I wrote that last line, Henry was one of those I interviewed, and I have him on tape. I have him on tape. Everybody I interviewed, I have on tape, and I told him I was recording it.
Okay.
Henry said he had no knowledge, but he dismissed it that he must have cheated since they disqualified him. But he couldn't remember specifically. He had no knowledge of what had happened. So it will be very interesting to hear what he says now, whether his memory has come back after 29 years.
When was the time you spoke with him?
I spoke to Henry 3 years ago when I was compiling the...
about 3 years ago?
Yes, about 3 years ago.
Because I spoke with him, and he said, because he was the chairman of the welfare committee.
Yes.
So he was defending the athletes. He has to defend all the athletes.
Yes.
That, okay, this is what, it's unfair. A Nigerian has won the race.
Yes.
Why are they, doing that?
Okay.
Are you getting it?
Okay.
So then I'll go, ask him. And then when they brought the tape, they went on to view the tape, and he viewed the tape. You understand? Probably that was the first tape before they went to edit it. He saw that particular tape. I don't know what, anyway, I'm not too sure about it was the first or the edited version of the tape, which the AFN, did use in arriving at the decision that they arrived at. But he saw the tape. He recollected in the particular tape.
We must understand, and when Henry comes up, we'd like to hear it.
Okay.
We must understand that, first of all, the tape that they're talking about was not a commission tape. was the NTA news tape. So he didn't follow the athlete from the beginning to the end. And secondly, there was, according to Mr. Obajimi, there was a commission tape, and some people like Olusile had confirmed that there was a tape. But when they got to view it, it was edited and in bits and pieces. So even the AFN could not use the tape as evidence.
Okay. All right, we're trying to reach Gideon. They said his phone number is off. But let us see. I was actually trying to see if we can get in Henry to join the show. We also have somebody else who was supposed to join us, but unfortunately he couldn't because he lost his uncle and is on his way right down there to Akure. So I will see if we can get Henry back on. If we can get Henry back on the show and see if we can get his own version of. Let me have that here. If we can have his own version.
That's for the coach. They are together with Gideon.
Okay, the coach. All right, give me the ball. Let me have that. So, but why trying to get this contacts here and reach out to them? What is this? When you met Gideon, was it in Lagos or in Pankshin?
No, I went to Pankshin to meet him.
How can you describe his condition after he was 47? That was about 4 years ago then?
Yes.
That would probably let me say about 47 years, yes. About 25 years after.
You could tell that this incident was a toll on him, had taken a toll on him. You could tell that Gideon, it had been in his heart, heavy in his heart, because Gideon still possessed all the newspaper clippings, all the pictures, every kind of evidence. He had held it tight, and he was so happy that after more than 2 decades, somebody is coming to hear his story. You could feel the relief. When I spoke to him, I saw tears in his eyes. He cried. And you could feel the relief that he didn't even care again. He just wanted someone to believe him, that they made him feel like a cheat, that he had done nothing in his life except run, try to win a marathon, and you could feel the hurts. I spoke to his coach, Coach Wobala. Coach Wobala said that Gideon had never been the same again. He spent a year thinking, defending himself. The trauma of being locked up with hardened criminals in a prison didn't leave him. Although he even said that after the first day in prison, and the president of the prison discussed with him and found out his story, and decided to protect him. So he said that is what even made him survive for 4 days.
Okay, let's see. I think Brother Henry is back now. Hello, Henry.
Hello.
Aha! Thank God. That's the voice of Henry Amike, former president of the Nigerian Olympic Association of Nigeria. They are all Olympians, including Ken Ochonogo. Anyway, Henry, I hope you have been following the show. Hello, Henry. Hello, Henry.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Are you following the show? Are you following the program?
I am here. I'm watching you.
All right. We did speak earlier on. Like I said, Andy mentioned you right there on page 59 of his book. He said, let me read it for you. So that
the network is bad, but I can talk.
Okay. Can you give us a recollection of what happened? Yeah. Okay. Let us. What was your position right there in the marathon? How are you a member of the technical committee? I don't know. Or you were also a member of the welfare committee. But what were you there in 1994? That was exactly October 9th, 1994.
Hello.
Yeah. Go on, Henry. You are on. Go on.
Yes, I said, first and foremost, Mr. Ochonogo, I like your program, I enjoy your program, and you're a fact finder. Having said that, I was part of the team. I was a member of the board, as a matter of fact, the chairman of the welfare committee, and also a member of the technical committee. And that particular race is a race that went down the drain as a history race, because as an athlete, I saw a Nigeria coming, winning the race. Every stadium member, every person in the stadium was jubilating and celebrating that. And after the race, the winner, which was in Nigeria, and as the chairman of the welfare committee, that did not go well with me. So I said, no, that is not possible, because a Nigerian has won this race. I think that was the only race a Nigerian has ever won internationally in Nigeria. No, I will not accept that. I don't know the athlete from nowhere, but I know he's a national athlete. And from what information we gathered, he ran a race 2 or 3 weeks before in Ghana, and he did very well, probably won the race. So that made me to say, as a welfare chairman, they must look into it. But eventually a panel was set up, and the board technical committee looked into what happened. And from what we gathered at the meeting, and the officials said the athlete was 500 meters away from the leader, which was a Kenyan, 1 kilometer to the stadium. Me as an athlete, I know a marathoner to overtake somebody 500 meters before in 1 kilometer is not easy. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. And if somebody is 500 meters ahead of you, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to overtake that person. If that has happened, that must be a miracle. So, but when we discussed at the board meeting, and a clip was brought, which was the televised clip from NTA, we realized that he was in third position, 500 meters, 1,000 meters to the tape. I was 500 meters behind the lead runner. So that was how the controversy started, and that was the reason why he was disqualified. And nephew actually talked to me, and exactly what I said now is what I said to a nephew, that that guy, as far as I'm concerned, is the winner because he came into the case, and that was my position, and that is still my position.
Okay, we are going on a short break. We will come back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly, very, very clearly. Thank you, Henry. I know you cannot confirm. I know it will be difficult for you to confirm. I would have asked you because now we have about 2 versions of the tape. Was it the original tape that that they used, or the one they used in the news, which has been edited? Because they said that was why they could not accept that as part of as evidence, because that is a doctored tape to them. They want to accept the tape. It has to be the tape without editing that covered from when they moved in there. So I don't know. Are you aware if it was the tape they used in the news, or the tape they used? Just the whole the hard drive that of the one that they used right there to cover it in the stadium, that they presented as evidence for you guys to watch. Okay, I don't think. Okay, probably Henry.
Well, the one we watched was the one they used for the news.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, clearly, very clearly.
Hello.
Yes, Henry, very clearly. I can hear you very. Yes.
Yeah, okay. I said the tape that was.
All right, we are going on break. Henry said the tape that they used was the one they used in the news. I will go on the break, but Henry, just stay there. I will still get back to you when we come back from the break. We'll still get back to you. Probably we'll also open the lines for our viewers to join. All right, we're going straight to Pangshin because I'm delighted that we have Gideon right there on phone. Yeah, all right. Hello, Mr. Gideon Haggack. How are you?
How are you? How are you? Fine.
Fine.
All right. I understand you are there with your coach, Wubala. Coach Kubala is there with you?
Yeah, we are together with him.
Oh, beautiful. Can you just take a few minutes to tell us the story of what happened on that day, on 9th of October, 1994?
Okay. On that marathon day.
Yes.
You mean on that marathon day?
Yes.
Yeah, we came for marathon from Plateau State. We went to Lagos. So as we run the race, I won the race. That they come and say how Nigeria can win Kenya and Ethiopia. So the governor of Lagos that day, he called us to his house
me and my coach, as we went to his house, he asked his ADC that what happened to him. Then the ADC said that the official said that they said that they did not see me from nowhere. I just appear and pass Kenya man. So they say I cheat. So I run the race and won it. No problem. I run it fine and win it. Because that time I went to Ghana. After 2 weeks, I won the Ghana and they gave me trophy and I brought it to Nigeria. So after 2 weeks, they do our own here in Nigeria. I won it, but our people in Nigeria denied me.
Okay, let me ask you. Let me ask you this: when the governor said you cheated, how did you feel at that point in time?
Yes, partner. Please. I didn't hear well. Please.
When the governor called you a cheat, that you cheated at Alausa in the government house, how did you feel then?
What?
How did you feel the governor?
I thought that the governor will go and congratulate us and say Nigeria athlete has won. But I feel bad as he took me to Alausa police station in Ikeja. I feel bad.
They took you to the police station.
To Alausa police station in Ikeja.
In Ikeja.
He said they should go and lock us. As my coach wanted to say a word, he said, no, they should took us to Alausa police station in Ikeja. So they locked me there. I did some days, almost 4 days there, before our governor bailed me there. They took us to the court, so before our governor bailed us.
Okay, so you were in the cell for 4 days after winning the race on the 9th of October 1994.
Hello?
Yes. Hello, coach.
Sorry, he has problem with his hair.
Okay, coach, you were with him. You were with him from yes.
We were with him from beginning to the end.
All right. So can you narrate exactly what happened?
I am Mr. Joseph Obala.
Okay. How old are you, sir?
Gideon.
Sorry, sir. How old are you, sir?
So I know it's like with you.
How old are you, sir? How old are you now?
Oh, now I'm 75 years old.
You are 75 years old. All right. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Let's hear your story.
Okay. In fact, what actually happened was this. When Gideon went to Ghana on the 24th September 1994, he won the race there. And he came back to Lagos, that's Nigeria. The marathon took place on the 9th October 1994, and he won it. Then we were waiting. The governor of Lagos State, he was the commander in our Plateau State. He was the team leader for the National Sports Council, National Sports Festival held in Ilorin. So after that, he was appointed the Lagos State military governor. So after the race, he sent the ADC to call us. We came to him, a black Peugeot inside the car. We were happy that maybe he's very much happy as my others won the race. They took us to government house in Lagos State. We stayed there from 11 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the evening. From 6 o'clock in the evening, the government came. He said yes, they should talk to Alausa police station. Reaching police station now, they said they should put him inside the cell. Luckily, the DPO came in, he said no, they cannot let him remain there. Then if you say, what of the rest of my alias? Because I bought about 13 alias, 6 girls, 7 boys. I said that's right, and now they don't know where we are. So he allowed me to go. And when I met them, I kept up with them there with them. In the morning, they took us to court. I phoned my director of court, late Ahmed Tarzan. And he told our commissioner of sports in Plateau State, Mrs. Pauline Talent. Then they said that they came in the morning, they took us to court. They made us there that we should get a lawyer who will bail him. I went around and get the lawyer, and he came and bailed him. After that, the person in charge of National Sports Commission was Baba Ishehu. He withdrew the case from the court. They set a panel, and that's the during military regime. That led Abacha. He said Fred Ejeke, Brigadier Ejeke came to Lagos. But then I read the paper, the film of that marathon. Then 3 kilometers to the finishing of the race in their stadium, they cleaned it up nothing. So they played their own 3 kilometers to the end, nothing. Then I told JK, now we have our team. We put the dress he wore that day, his running canvas, his running pants, his vest, and chase, which is 5-star size. I said, have you seen it? He said, I saw it. They start then the film. From beginning to the end, Gideon did not branch to anywhere.
Okay, coach, because you guys joined us a little bit late, I don't have too much time. I think probably we have to see how we can get back and reschedule this interview. But I want to ask you about 2 or 3 questions, just as Gideon is there. One, when you were at Alausa for those 7 hours between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m., were you given anything to eat? Were you fed at Alausa?
No. Government? Actually, when we were in the governor's house, they brought food. We refused. The 2 of us we refused. Right. I even told the governor, I said, okay, this was just finished his rest. I don't know about his health. So we didn't eat anything. They refused to eat the food.
All right. Secondly, let me ask the second question, which I ask any, but it's not too specific. After that race in 1994, did Gideon continue running his marathon? Was it banned by the AFN or he continued running?
That time, they didn't ban him, but in fact, that one, they demoralized him. He couldn't compete. They didn't run again.
All right. Okay. Finally, let me ask you this. The compensation that was paid at 29 years now, has Gideon been paid his money, the prize money of 100,000?
He has not been paid anything.
Up till now?
Up till now, let me tell you one thing. On the 16th, which one, man? 3rd October this year, they called us in Jos, and our lawyer came. He brought a letter. He wrote it down. That when he brought money, our late director thought, the director said he will give the part of that money. They will give it to him, give it to secretary and other people. But it's all lie. I said, okay. Now it's 29 years. What have you been doing since? If the director said that, why shouldn't you come and meet me so I will get my address to pay him the money? But finally they say, okay, they will pay him the money. That's what it is. Up till now, nothing.
Up to now, nothing. That money was in dollars. How much was it in dollars then? Prize money?
$5,000.
$5,000. Probably you can ask instead of 100,000 naira. I think you ask for $5,000. And what is the price? What is the prize money then? Coach Ubala, I want to say thank you very much for taking your time. We'll try. We have your contact. We'll try and reach you. We might do this show again, but then we have to be sure because I mean you are not in Pankshin. You're not the same place with Gideon. So we can have you guys together and get this show so that let us see how we are going. Thank you so much for being part of this show.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless you.
God bless you.
Best of luck.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
In the long run.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Henry. Henry, can we listen to Henry a minute before we close? Hello, Henry. Henry, are you there? The voice of Henry. I think we're trying to see if we can get Henry. But if you can jump before we're closing, we are closing the show. This is it in the long run. NFL Kodobong, the Olympic gold. Of course, he has the gold medalist. He is. You can't take that away from him. That is the apogee, the highest, the zenith you can go in athletics at the Olympics. He did that in the long run. The great race fiasco. Actually, that race ended that marathon because the sponsors left after then before it had been resuscitated. So a lot of stories in this book, you have to be part and we get it. We might also get Annie back and do a thorough presentation of this book analysis. Put it in, get it in your archives. It's a story of justice. It's a story of pain. It's a story of the intrigue. And then in Nigeria, I tell you this, you never lose. The surprises keep on coming. That was in 1994. In 2023, almost 30 years later, we are still looking at all those that are happening in Nigerian sport. We have a Minister of Sports now. Any thanks for doing this. But then you said the way you got some of this your report. Of course, I can see the transcript. This. I want to ask you this. You said a local winner with no international background will question the credibility of the event. Are you saying that the AFN, intentionally did what it did? We are going just 1 minute.
Just 1 minute. Well, yeah. I'll say that this was the 10th marathon. They had done 9 local, and then of course they wanted a bigger one, and they brought more money to have a big marathon, and they brought a big marathon, and a local person still won. I mean,
that's a conjecture.
It's my own conjecture.
It's our own conjecture.
It's my own conjecture.
So you're not speaking the mind of
I didn't quote anybody. I'm taking responsibility. It's my book.
Taking responsibility. Yes. Okay, that is responsibility. He has the right to do that. Catalan.
1994 to now. Like the more things change, the more they remain the same.
All right, that is it. I'm Keno Chologo. I want to apologize to our callers that 2 weeks now you've not had, but by next week we're going to do a big show where you guys are part of this show. Yes, Keno Chologo. God bless Nigeria.